This is Mr. Moriwaki. He's the director of Katamari Part 3 or Part 4, depending on how you want to count them. The game is still in development, but he'll do his best to answer any questions you have today. Basically, the point of the game is to roll your Katamari, which is a ball, roll it around the environment and collect objects which stick to the Katamari, and basically to make the Katamari as large as possible for the main character of the game, which is the king of all cosmos, and you play the part of the prince of all cosmos. They're the main characters. They're quite quirky and interesting. And also another main feature of the game is the music, of course. It's an awesome soundtrack. Absolutely brilliant. Well, the previous Katamaris were very well received from a game design standpoint, so we haven't really altered the basic game very much. Being on the Xbox platform, of course, will be high definition, widescreen with surround sound, so they're the most noticeable features first off. Apart from that, the gameplay we haven't really messed around with too much. We wanted to take advantage of the hardware, of course, of the advanced specs of the new hardware. Mainly the online functionality part is the main thing that we wanted to challenge ourselves with. Regarding graphical style, it will be displayed in a higher resolution, but we're keeping the original style as much as possible. So you won't see too many changes in that area. At first we thought that Katamari didn't really lend itself very well to online play. The main point of the game is to respond to the king's requests and roll around the levels by yourself. After playing the VS mode, we've sort of realised that okay, it's pretty fun. So we're trying to develop this a little further. It is quite difficult because the game is basically originally wasn't designed for a multiplayer environment or multiplayer game rules. So it's something we're working on, but it's very difficult at this stage. We're extremely glad, of course, that the soundtrack is so popular overseas, but it's actually quite strange. The actual concept behind the soundtrack was basically they've been using entertainers or singers who were popular 10, 20 years ago, and because they felt that sort of matched the atmosphere of the game. The atmosphere in the game, sort of quite old, quaint Japanese streets, etc. So they felt that the music using these old artists would match that style. So they're actually quite, and they thought that would appeal to fans in Japan, of course, but it's actually appealed to a lot wider audience, which they're quite surprised about. Didn't really want to make the second, it was pretty public knowledge, but he decided that, well, if they're going to make a sequel, then in order to do it well, he wanted to be involved. After Katamari 2, he started working on his next project. But obviously, as a franchise, Katamari is very important to our company, so obviously we're going to keep on going. And just Igarashi-san is saying that it's not that Takahashi-san didn't want to do it anymore, it's just that Takahashi-san has other ideas that he wants to work on, which is why he's no longer involved with the Katamari series generally. Takahashi-san basically, he really wanted to try and work on his new projects. He's trying to achieve more and express more of, I don't know how you say it, Takahashi world. He's quite a strange guy. Nice guy, but of course, but yeah. I think with Katamari, the whole package just came together so well. The basic gameplay was so simple, but the graphical style, the humor, and the music just all came together so well to make such a great package. It wasn't just one particular aspect of the game that made it so successful. One thing is we think that because Takahashi-san doesn't really have a lot of experience with games and game design, he came up with the basic idea and he was able to successfully transfer his idea onto the screen in a playable form, whereas if other people like Moriwaki-san, who comes from a game background, would sort of try and apply too many rules and game-like elements to that idea before it had reached that stage. Whereas because Takahashi-san didn't have that experience, he was able to transfer exactly his intentions without being diverted with too much game experience or too many gaming conventions. Basically, it's all Takahashi-san. Takahashi-san came up with the game, the graphic style, the concept, and he also wrote the speech for the King of All Cosmos in the Japanese version. So that was all Takahashi-san's doing. For the English version, my team and my team handled the localization for all Katamari so far. Moriwaki-san actually writes the text for this game. Yeah, Mori-Waka-san's been handling the text for the PSP version and the current version, whereas Takashi-san handled the first two, of course. My team and I outsourced the translation of the King text to a very good translator we use. Obviously, that's the first step. Once we get the text back, we touch it up, we rewrite it, we put it into the game, and I play the game 3 or 4 times and check every single line of text in the game. Yeah, basically the humour is all originally from Takashi-san. We've just tried to maintain the same style throughout the series. I don't know, yeah, we just try our best and change the text wherever necessary so that the players find it funny. I'll be this, they referencing Japanese jokes or Japanese culture. A lot of players won't understand what's going on. I think the king is more eccentric in English even than he is in Japanese. And he's pretty weird in Japanese too. And that katakana is really hard to read. But one major difference is that in the English version, obviously the king speaks with the royal we, which is something that doesn't happen in the Japanese version. It's just something that we thought would sort of make him appear more weird. So yeah, he always references himself as we or our, which makes him sound pretty cool. Other changes, we obviously had to just remove references to alcohol, stuff like that, and just the usual ESRB issues. But because most of the graphics in the game were in Japanese, we didn't have to change any graphics, so we were lucky there. And originally in the first game, the king got drunk and knocked the stars out of the sky, but we had to sort of modify that to say he was giddy with joy or something like that. Yeah, but it's challenging, but it's one of my favorite games. Yeah, so it's really good being able to handle the text for the game. He doesn't know what Western gamers prefer compared to Japanese gamers. He just thought, well, this would be fun, why don't we do this? So there's no conscious decision on Katamari's part anyway to make it quirky and to appeal just to worldwide. It just appeals to people who want to have fun rolling a Katamari around. Yeah. Honestly, the development costs have risen slightly. Developing on the Xbox, it's the team's first time with this hardware, so obviously it takes time to get used to it. And obviously, all the graphics are being redone and new objects and stuff have been created, so it does cost money. What a lot of people don't seem to realise is the amount of objects in the game is quite huge, and they do take up a lot of memory. So the team does have to take care of creating the game in the right way so they don't run out of memory for all the graphics and the objects, etc. So it's not quite as easy to create and to localize as a lot of people seem to think. Of course, every time we work on new hardware with new control schemes, it's interesting and fun to try and to work with those. At the moment, we're really concentrating on getting the Xbox version completed first, but we're definitely considering interesting uses of the 6-axis controller for the PS3 version. So everyone's surprised about the success of the game overseas. Even in the Japanese market, they thought the game would only appeal to a few people who would appreciate that sort of gameplay. So they're even more surprised to see how popular it was overseas. It was actually more successful in the West than it was here in Japan. So yeah, that's they're happy, of course, about it, but it really is, they really were surprised by how successful it has been. And the fan art, I think it's amazing. So I personally get a kick out of seeing that, and whatever, if I see it, I'll definitely pass it on to Takashi-san. Yeah.
The translation for Katamari?
Basically, clump of souls. Yeah. Katamari is just a clump or a gathering of stuff, and Damashi is soul. So I'm not really sure how how Takashi-san came up with that name. But yeah, this is definitely something that we're looking into to extend the life of the game and to keep players interested. We're considering downloadable cousins and new stages. We have a few technical issues to sort out at this stage because of the inexperience with the new platform, but it's definitely something that we're looking into. Honestly, the Katamari world doesn't lend itself to real world. Layering real world out effects on the world of Katamari is very distinct and very a fantasy-like world, and basically, personally, I think putting real world advertisements and things like that into the game would sort of ruin the immersion of the player. I personally don't think it would fit unless it was very tastefully done. That's my personal opinion. But it's something the team is looking into, let's say. In respect to Katamari, because it's difficult to sort of mess with the basic gameplay without destroying what makes Katamari, we haven't made too many changes, so that we haven't sort of made any new innovations in that respect. Generally, moving a game from one hardware platform to another, you have to generally balance it and redesign a lot of the features to suit the particular hardware. So in that respect, we just try and match it to the game design to the hardware as much as possible. I think the previous Katamari games are quite lonely games, really. I mean, you basically do the king's bidding, you roll around the level by yourself and you succeed or fail, and if you fail, you get scolded pretty badly. In the new Katamari, we want to sort of make the game less lonely. So with online features, you can show your Katamari off to others and say, hey, look what I did it. And so that's the main thing that they want to impress in this Katamari.